Chapter 8, Rookie of the Year and MVP. On April 10, 1947, the Dodgers and the Royals were playing an exhibition game at Ebbets Field. A press release was handed out during the game. Brooklyn announces the purchase of the contract of Jackie Roosevelt Robinson from Montreal. Jackie would be getting $5,000 his first year. Jackie's year with the Royals had been a success. He showed that he was not only an outstanding baseball player, but a person of integrity. Clay Hooper, Jackie's Mississippi-born manager at Montreal, had been very unhappy when he was forced to accept Jackie at the beginning of the year. But by the end of the season, he had gone to Jackie and told him, "You're a great ball player and a fine gentleman. You're the greatest competitor I ever saw. It's been wonderful having you on the team." And Hooper meant every word. Branch Rickey had done everything he could to make the move to the big leagues as smooth as possible for Jackie. The Royals and Dodgers played 7 exhibition games that preseason. Rickey let Jackie know just how important he thought those games were. He wanted Jackie to go all out, hoping that the Dodgers would see just how good Robinson was. In the 7 games he batted .625 and stole 7 bases. Rickey also worked behind the scenes. He met with Brooklyn's black leaders and told them that he was concerned about the reaction of the black community. He feared that black fans would be over-enthusiastic. Rickey didn't want welcoming committees, parades, big signs, or anything else that would make Jackie's situation any more noticeable than it already was. Rickey was also worried that black fans filling the ballparks and celebrating their new hero might cause white fans to stay away. Although some black leaders were insulted by what Rickey was saying, most agreed, and a committee was formed. A slogan was adopted: "Don't spoil Jackie's chances." The Robinsons were now a family of 3. Jackie Jr. had been born in November 1947. Jackie and Rachel had enjoyed where they lived in Montreal, but finding something nice in New York was a problem. They had to settle for a small and dreary one-room apartment. Baby diapers hung in the bathroom, and when guests arrived, toys were pushed under the furniture. 5 days after the announcement, number 42 took the field for the opening game of the season. There were 26,623 in attendance. Over half were blacks waiting to see one of the most exciting events of their lifetime. Jackie was tense and overeager. He was more concerned with his new position, first base, than he was with anything else. He was not happy playing at first. Learning to play a new position at the same time he was trying to break into the big leagues was a nearly impossible task. But Rickey had no other choice. Eddie Stansky, the starting second baseman, was not only one of the best in the league, but a popular Dodger. Rickey wanted to avoid any talk about how blacks would take jobs away from white players. Also, by having Jackie play first base, Rickey felt opposing players would be less able to spike him. Certainly less than if he were playing second. Jackie would just have to learn on the job. He went 0 for 3 his first game, continued to press too hard, and started the season with a 0 for 20 batting slump. Off the field, Jackie kept to himself, dressing in the corner of the locker room. He didn't talk to anyone unless they talked to him. He decided it would be best that way, especially at first. He didn't want to walk around hoping people would be friendly to him. He had too much pride for that. On the road, he usually ate alone in his hotel room. He stayed behind when the rest of the players headed for the movies or the hotel bar. He didn't join in the card games, even though he loved to play. Traveling on the train to an away game, he ate by himself or with one of the black reporters who traveled with the team. It was a lonely life. One of the first players to be friendly to Jackie was Pee Wee Reese. As soon as it was announced that Jackie was going to play for the Dodgers, Pee Wee heard from his friends back home in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky. They told him it just wasn't right for a good Southern boy to be playing ball next to a black player. Pee Wee thought long and hard about the situation. He decided that his friends were wrong and that there was room enough in baseball for both of us. Later, after he got to know Jackie, he felt even more strongly about it. Some Dodger players were so upset about having to play with a black man that they circulated a secret petition. The petition declared that those who signed it would not play on the same team with a black player. 5 or 6 players signed the petition, but it did not go any further. Reese refused to sign, and so did Duke Snider. Snider was from Southern California, and Jackie, he explained, was one of his heroes. Jackie's relationship with his teammates changed about the same time that his playing did. At first he had played cautiously, which wasn't his style. On June 24th, he stole home for the first time. By then he was already hitting pretty well. He was batting .315 and was becoming one of the most feared base runners in the league. The other Dodgers were impressed by his will to win. Like other truly great athletes in the history of the team sports, he made the players around him play better. The usually serious Jackie began to relax a little. He even started to joke around after games. His teammates invited him to join them in card games, and he accepted. His fellow Dodgers soon found out he was as competitive at the card table as he was on the baseball diamond. Although the atmosphere in the Dodger clubhouse improved, there was no let-up with the competition. Early in the season, the owner of the Phillies called Rickey and warned him that there would be trouble. He suggested it would be best if Robinson were kept on the bench. Rickey had no intention of keeping Robinson on the bench. During the 3-game series, the Phillies insulted Jackie constantly, calling him names: nigger, coon, darky. They shouted from the dugout, asking him why he wasn't home cleaning out bathrooms or picking cotton. The worst culprit of all was the Philadelphia manager, who was from Alabama. By the 2nd game of the series, some of the Dodgers had listened to about enough. Ed Stanky started shouting back to the Phillies bench. Why didn't they pick on someone who could fight back? Jackie's hands were tied, and Stanky wanted them to know he thought they were yellow. Jackie had to fight the burning desire to stride across the field and take on half the team. The incident with the Phillies were widely covered in the newspapers. A photo session was set up so that Chapman, the Phillies manager, and Jackie would be seen shaking hands. Jackie swallowed his pride because Mr. Rickey asked him to. Rickey said it would be in the best interest of baseball to get the incident behind them. Both men agreed to have their photographs taken. Some stories say that Jackie refused to shake hands with Chapman. Some say that Chapman refused to shake hands with Jackie. Some actually say they were photographed shaking hands, but there is no such photograph. There is only a photograph of 2 men not looking at each other, posing for a publicity photo. The Philadelphia incident drew the Dodgers closer to one another. It marked the turning point in their attitudes toward Jackie. They sympathized with what he was going through and the restraint he showed in not striking back. They began to respect him. In May, the Dodgers were scheduled to play the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals threatened to strike if Robinson was in the lineup. Ford Frick, president of the National League, took an immediate and strong stand. If you do this, he told the striking players, you will be suspended from the league. You will find that friends that you think you have in the press box will not support you, that you will be outcasts. I do not care if half the league strikes. There was no strike. Throughout the first year, things were difficult for Jackie, on and off the field as well as on. On the field as well as on. There were crank phone calls and letters threatening Rachel and Jackie Jr. with violence and kidnapping. Jackie and Rachel talked frequently while he was on the road. Jackie just didn't know if he could take it anymore. He showed little emotion to those around him, but inside he was like a volcano ready to erupt. The abuse he took on the field was subtle. A hard tag to the side of the head while sliding onto base. Pitches aimed right for his head in an unimportant game with no one on base. Insults whispered behind a held-up glove. But no matter how bad things got, Jackie and Rachel had decided it was worth it. The things he was accomplishing were too important. Jackie was being called the biggest gate attraction since Babe Ruth. Several attendance records were set that year. The first Saturday the Dodgers played the New York Giants on the Polo Grounds, 52,000 turned out. It was the largest Saturday afternoon crowd in Nation League history. The Dodgers drew 1.8 million fans at home, setting a National League record. It was the first of 10 straight million-plus attendance years for the Dodgers. 4 other National League teams had record-breaking home attendance figures: New York, Boston, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. Attendance figures for the league as a whole were up 3.4 million from the year before, which had been a banner year. It was all because of Jackie Robinson. The end. Blacks were coming to the games like they never had before, while white attendance figures were also up. As one writer put it, Jackie's nimble, Jackie's quick, Jackie's making the turnstile click. Black fans, some who had never seen baseball before Jackie Robinson, cheered wildly if he hit a foul ball. A pop-up sometimes got a standing ovation. Some fans wore "I'm for Jackie" buttons. Wherever Jackie played, it was for an event for black families miles around. They would travel as far as they had to see him play. Before the year was out, there were other blacks signed up for the big leagues. In July, Larry Doby became the first black player in the American League. That year, the Dodgers won their first pennant since 1941. Before the American and National League split into East and West divisions, winning the league championship was called winning the pennant. Jackie finished the year with a .297 batting average and led the league in stolen bases. He was second in runs scored, and his 12 home runs led the team. He showed the white major leagues how to bunt. He had 28 successful bunts, 14 base hits. He appeared in 151 out of 154 games, more than anyone else on the team. In October, the Dodgers met the Yankees in what is considered one of the greatest World Series in history. There was a near no-hitter in the 4th game, and in the 6th one of the most memorable catches ever. Al Gianfrido's catch of Maggie Joe DiMaggio's line drive. 5 of the 7 games were close. The Yankees won the series in 7 games. The Sporting News, which had said earlier that Jackie would find himself over his head in the major leagues, named him Rookie of the Year. During the off-season, Jackie accepted speaking engagements around the country. Initially, Ricky wouldn't let him do anything but play baseball. Hundreds of offers to endorse products or make commercials had to be turned down. Ricky didn't want people to be able to criticize Jackie for exploiting the situation. But by the end of the season, Ricky let up on his rule. Jackie was glad because now that he was a father, he could use the extra money. Unfortunately, Jackie ate more than his share of the roast beef, mashed potatoes with gravy, and rolls that were served at these banquets. The next year, 1948, Jackie reported to spring training hopelessly out of shape. His weight had ballooned to 220, 30 pounds overweight. He was fat and he was slow. He couldn't run, and that affected his whole game. He played himself back into shape by mid-season, but the Dodgers ended up in 3rd place. He still managed to hit .296 with 85 RBIs, 12 homers, and 22 stolen bases, and led the league with a .983 fielding average at second base. Ricky had decided to trade Stanky. The next year, Jackie reported to spring training in excellent shape. He was ready to play the best baseball of his life. Jackie was shifted from batting second to 4th, cleanup. Jackie was a classic number 2 hitter. He didn't strike out, could get down the line fast, and was a great bunter. Batting second the year before, he had knocked in 85 RBIs, a lot for the number 2 man in the order. But the Dodger manager suspected that it was a waste having a clutch hitter bat so early in the lineup. What would happen if Jackie batted when there were more men on base? Putting Jackie in the cleanup spot turned out to be a brilliant move. He tore up the league. His .342 average captured the batting title. He hammered 16 home runs, had 203 hits, and 124 24 RBIs, and played